Hello, my friends. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. If we could have folks grab your last piece of pizza or sandwich and find a seat, we're going to go ahead and get started. My name is Wendy Rudascu, and I am your District 4 County Supervisor. We're here tonight joined by many local electeds and other community leaders, and we have a very tight agenda that we're going to work our way through. We have pizza, sandwiches, drinks, chips in the back of the room. Please help yourself and eat and drink to your heart's content while you're here. If we've got extra food, feel free to grab something on your way out tonight. I do want to make sure that everyone knows that we are recording this evening. The presentation as well as comments will be recorded, and we are live streaming onto Facebook. So just heads up on that. Unfortunately, for those who are joining us online, we don't have capacity to take your questions or feedback in live form as part of the meeting, but we do invite you to email our office with any thoughts, comments, questions, ideas that you have so that we can incorporate your perspectives as we move forward. We do have interpreter services here tonight. If anyone needs interpretation, we have headsets in the back of the room. I am absolutely overjoyed to be here with you all tonight to talk about what we're calling the got that wrong already. The Broadway Family Connection Project. That's a working title that we're using here in the county to talk about a very exciting project that's going to invest county resources into the city of Seaside, supporting the city of Seaside's Upper Broadway redevelopment goals. Thank you so much for being here to share your feedback with us and learn more about how this project is moving forward. I had an opportunity to tour the Seaside Social Services building back in pre-COVID days, and it was clear to me that this was a site that needed to have some focus and priority for reinvestment. Since joining the County Board of Supervisors and having the opportunity to really push this project forward, we've been able to make really tremendous progress on this project. And the purpose of tonight's town hall meeting is to share information about the project and to get your feedback, ideas, suggestions, comments, general thoughts about the current plan. We'll be collecting your feedback so that the county team can come back to the table, continue to refine our plans, and develop a project that is as responsive to community needs as possible. The building you see pictured up here on the slide is the focus of our planning in tonight's conversation. Everyone's familiar with where this is located, right? On the corner of Broadway and Noche Buena in Upper Seaside. Our agenda for the evening looks like having some presentations from subject matter experts who will share current and proposed services imagined for the Broadway Family Connections Project. After this series of presentations, we'll set aside at least 30 minutes for your questions and thoughts. In my opinion, your feedback is, for me, the most important part of tonight's evening. And I hope that you will speak up, speak out, let us know what you're thinking. We also have some whiteboards on the back of walls, as well as we'll share our email address. So if you're not able to verbally share your thoughts with us tonight, or if you'd be more comfortable putting your thoughts in writing or speaking directly to someone on the county team or writing it down for us so that we can compile it, we welcome your feedback in whatever form you feel most comfortable with. After that, we'll outline our next steps and hope to have everyone out of here by 7:30. I know I've got to get home to put my son to bed. So I'm going to introduce all of our presenters in one big chunk, and then we'll just roll through our presentations. So first, we're going to hear from Lori Medina. Lori is a Seaside resident who is also the director of our County Department of Social Services. She's going to share what services are currently provided in the Broadway Social Services Center and to whom receives those services. She'll also discuss what we hope and are envisioning could be located at that site in the future for social services. Next, we'll hear from Hillary Thayer, who's our Monterey County Free Libraries Director. And as you know, the County Free Libraries operates the library down next to City Hall currently. She'll share some information about the services that the library currently provides in Seaside and what we envision for the future. Robin McCrae is the CEO of the Community Human Services, local nonprofit. CHS co-operates the Casa de Noche Buena shelter with Gatherings for Women. This is the homeless services shelter that the county is proud to have co-located on this site that we're talking about. Robin will provide a high-level view of the services that Casa de Noche Buena provides to local families currently, and the need for additional services for homeless families in our community. Next, we'll hear from Janine Paccioni, our district attorney. And if you haven't had a chance, we also have our district attorney dogs in the back of the room who would love to say hello to you if you need to get a few pets in while we're having our presentations. Janine will introduce you to the concept of a family justice center, which we're also exploring bringing to the Broadway Family Connection Center. Finally, we'll hear from Dave Pratt, who's one of our amazing Monterey County project planners with our County Public Works Facilities and Parks Department, and Kyle Maddie, principal architect with NM&R Architects. And Dave and Kyle will preview the preliminary drawings for our reimagined building and site plan. You can also see in more detail those preliminary drawings at multiple sites throughout the room. And with that, we're going to kick it right off with Social Services Director Laura Medina.
Good evening, everyone. Glad to see everybody here. Thank you for coming out and taking your time to hear what we're thinking and kind of how our journey began, talking about this building. As Wendy stated, I'm Lori Medina, the Director of the Department of Social Services for the County of Monterey. And I'm here to talk very briefly about the services we provide, particularly through this office in Seaside on the corner of Noche de Buena and Broadway. Next slide. It's okay. Okay, so the Department of Social Services for the County of Monterey serves 1 in 2 people in the entire county. Countywide, we have approximately 930 staff that work for the department over several locations across the county, Seaside office being one of those. And services provided include community benefits. Those are services that people typically think about, like Cash Aid and CalFresh and Medi-Cal, and a lot of other kind of resource distribution. We have child welfare services, child abuse prevention services, aging and adult services, veteran and military affairs, and various housing and low-income services. The Seaside office of the Department of Social Services alone issues approximately $194 million of benefits annually back into the community. Next slide. The current building that we are on Broadway was built in 1975. It needs a great deal of attention and updating. The building is approximately 15,000 square feet and houses approximately 63 staff for that particular location. The building also houses the community benefits branch and serves as a drop-in site for an array of services that our department provides that I just mentioned before. The county incorporated this building project into the capital improvement project for the county in fiscal year 2022. And in 2023, dedicated some funding for the project to be preliminary scoped, which is the process that we're going through right now. Updating the current building versus new construction, those options were explored. So when we first started this, we really hadn't decided if we were just going to try to do some repairs or to try to have a project to tear down and build up. But as we started to explore what really needed to happen with this building, our desire is to really tear it down and build a new building. As plans for the building project were discussed, new connections were considered between the Department of Social Services, the DA's office. Wendy mentioned the Family Justice Center, the Seaside Library, the Women, Infant, and Children Nutrition Program, otherwise known as WIC, and other services for greater coordination of county and non county services, including providing community spaces. Um, these new connections evolved into a much larger concept and vision than initially just a replacement for a social services building. Next slide. The new building envisioned is to become a multi county use facility to gap the needs and services we provide in the surrounding community area. The location serves community members from primarily the peninsula or the western side of the county, but any constituent from anywhere in the county can get services at this location. So, for example, if you live in King City, but you work in Seaside or Monterey, it might be more convenient to get services at this facility. So the new building will create a reception area um, that's a little bit more innovative to create a really welcoming space for the community, create more interview rooms to meet the confidentiality needs of our customers and community while providing services, create more staffing space to ensure our staff have enough room to adequately serve our community. We also want to make sure that we're meeting the ADA requirements because there are some challenges in the current building as it's set up. And we want to create community shareable space for meetings, conferences, convenings, and other forums. And we want to create unity and cohesiveness in this building for our community partners, county departments, and other organizations to meet the needs of our community. Next slide. So, the services that we currently provide, you'll see an array of services that may not mean a lot to a lot of folks here. But what I will say is that we help people get employment services, provide access to food through our CalFresh program. We provide access to applying for Medi-Cal, which is one of the largest programs that we have, general assistance for those that are indigent, and an array of other cash assistance programs. Next slide. To give you an idea of the number of people served, again, you can see on the slide about by program, the number of people that are served. But in general, if you added up all the people that come into the Seaside office on a monthly basis, it's about 25,000 people. Next slide. Now here is gives you a snapshot of what that means monetarily about the resources that we provide to community and how that gets put back into the community. So you can see out of all of these benefits, about $194 million are distributed on an annual basis from this office alone. And the vision going forward is to still continue to provide the services that we're currently provided, but in a much more coordinated and integrated way. So right now, it's mostly community benefits that are in the city Seaside. And then sometimes some of our other staff will drop in if, say, a constituent needs to come and do a renewal for their Medi-Cal application. And so maybe a child needs to have visitation there too. There are drop-in opportunities to do that, but we are planning to really have a much more coordinated and integrated way because right now, when we think about co-location, it's still very siloed. And the vision really is about not just co-location, but true integration, true working with each other so that we're not just living in the same space, but we're talking to each other and making sure customers don't have to go place to place to get all of our services. So, again, I talked about, WIC being here. Um, with all of the other services that we have in social services, we've been talking about the library. Right now in Seaside, we think that's a great opportunity to coordinate and integrate more family focused services so that it's not just a welfare office, but it is really a service center, a family focused center. And also community rooms. And of course, parking's always an issue. So there will be a multi level parking structure as well, if we can make this vision come to fruition. And so we really want to try to share information with folks to get input about, do we seem like we're on the right track? Um, is there, I'm sorry, next slide. Sorry. Do we seem like we're on the right track? Are we missing anything? Um, do we just have it wrong? We really want to hear folks' input, but at the end of the day, we want a safe and affirming and inviting environment for families. We think that the city of Seaside, our peninsula community, deserves that, deserves to have a building that is representative of the direction that the city and county are moving in. And so, again, I really just want to integrate, I really want to emphasize service integration versus co-location. This is not going to be a just another county building. We really are looking at this as a new way of doing business, and we really think it's going to be a model for the way county provides services in the future. And with that, I thank you for your time.
Thank you. My name is Hillary Thayer. I'm the library director for Monterey County Free Libraries, and we operate your Seaside branch. Next slide, please. And this is just an introduction to your Seaside staff. Yes, I can fit them all on one slide, despite the sheer amount of services that are offered by your Seaside branch. And should you have specific Seaside questions I cannot address, your branch manager, Dave, is sitting in the back of the room. He's very tall, hard to miss, but feel free to go up and chit chat with him about the services at your Seaside branch. And you'll notice Seaside also supports the surrounding area. So one of our staff members is also responsible for the Big Sur branch. And then they have another staff member who frequently goes out to assist at our other locations. Next slide, please. I thought I would put this in here just so you can have a little Seaside pride in your library. This puts Seaside in context with our other branches. For services from Monterey County Free Libraries, Seaside is the biggest city we serve. Salinas Public Library serves Salinas, but of all the areas we serve, Seaside is the biggest city. You'll see where we are in terms of readers' seats and number of volumes. Seaside also has the most open hours of all of our branches. They are the only branch that is open on Mondays. So you have an extra day of the week here in Seaside. And I think that that just shows you some volume, some numbers, to put it in context as to the business we do in your Seaside branch. Next slide, please. This is just our contact information. And what I want to do briefly before I cede the floor to our next speaker is I really like to just lift off what Lori was saying about social services and about service integration versus just co-location. That the vision is that we are not simply renters in the same building, for example, like offices may be in a shared building. In our libraries, we refer to Lori and her team all the time. And we do our best knowledgeable, warm handoff that we can, including making a phone call ahead of time, printing out a map for driving, helping someone figure out how to even start applying for a benefit. And I'm just having this vision of that warm handoff becoming, let's go get in the elevator and I'll go introduce you to them. And right now, we already do this. We work with Lori and her team all the time. We're also really excited to start working in the with the Family Justice Center and having that function very nearby because those needs walk into your libraries today because the word library conveys safe place to ask. And again, we can do a warm handoff, but sometimes that's with an address. And the person says something like, I don't have gas in my car, or I don't have my paperwork with me. And being able to have a functional multi service building is really exciting. I will answer the number one question we get right off the bat. Will the Seaside Library lose any space? As visioned, no. So we would not have to shrink. We would not have to shrink that number of volumes, those readers' seats. In fact, in the shared building concept, we would gain access to shared spaces your Seaside branch does not have today, such as a nice community meeting room where we could do some of our bigger programs. And that's it I have from the library, and I'll turn it over to the next speaker. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Robin McCrae. I'm the CEO of Community Human Services. And I'd like to tell you about Casa de Noche Buena. But first, I'd like to just recognize our partners in cooperating the shelter. So Stacy Alziebler Perkins is here from Gathering for Women. They're great partners. Can we clap for Gathering for Women? So this is a picture of the shelter right now. We are co-located with Department of Social Services on that corner lot of Broadway and Casa de Noche Buena, hence the name of the shelter. We put considerable effort into making the old county modular that had been I think it was a health department building, into a very beautiful, warming, welcoming shelter. And so I'm going to tell you about the services we provide there. I'm going to describe the shelter for you, and then I'm going to talk about the needs in the community for that shelter and its services. Next slide, please. So these are some photos of the interior of the shelter and a van that we use to transport clients to and from important appointments in their pursuit of finding housing and employment. We can serve up to 35 people based on the zoning laws. That really depends on the size of the families. We serve women and families with children. There are 9 bedrooms, 6 for women. They're doubled up in a bedroom, and 3 for families. And so depending on family size, that's why the capacity varies from anywhere from 20 to 35, depending on the sizes of the families. You can see there's multiple bathrooms, one with a tub for children. There's a commercial kitchen, a dining room, a classroom, a computer lab, activity room, lounge, case management offices, even a backyard with a patio and room for children to play outdoors. Next slide, please. We provide a host of supportive services to help people cross that bridge to housing and employment. And we serve nutritious meals provided by Gathering for Women. We provide case management, which consists of housing navigation and rapid rehousing financial assistance. That could include rental assistance, assistance with security deposits and utility hookups, paying rental arrears, assisting with moving expenses. So it's really anything that we can do to assist people moving into permanent housing. We help people enroll in benefits. It's convenient to have social services right on the lot with us. We just walk over or they walk over. We accompany them or they walk over and get signed up for services. And we provide assistance with employment and education, life skills education, linkages to health services that includes physical health, mental health, and substance abuse services. We provide all sorts of services and activities for the children, including coordination with their McKenna-Venti coordinators at the school districts. Guests can receive mail and they have internet access to aid in their search for housing and jobs. There's a laundry room. We have clothing and personal items that have been donated that they have access to. And we provide 24-hour support. So everything is very safe and secure there. So next slide, please. This program has had tremendous impact in the 3 years that it's been operating. We started in January of 2021 during the storms that year. It seems like there's storms every year. So to date, we've served through December 31. We've served 223 individuals. That's comprised of 96 women and 39 families. You can see the adults and youth breakout. We've served 22,957 bed nights. So that is nights that individuals did not sleep outdoors but slept in a shelter. We provided 40,583 meals. But the impact really, if you look, I put it at the bottom line. I wanted to show you that students were served in the following school districts: Monterey Peninsula Unified 25, North Monterey County Unified 9, Salinas Union High School District 3, Salinas City Elementary School District 4, Alisal Union School District 2, and Soledad Union School District 1. But the bottom line, and I put it in the bottom, are the housing outcomes that, in my opinion and our partner's opinion, this is all about getting people housed. We have a 53% rate of moving people into permanent housing. Thank you. 8% to transitional. Sometimes people do everything we ask of them and they're still waiting to find a landlord to accept their voucher. And so they need to move to another transitional housing program while they continue to wait because of zoning ordinances that say people need to leave after 6 months. 14% end up moving to other shelter for the similar reasons, or sometimes they just are not, it's not a good fit for them, and they work in Salinas and they decide when a vacancy opens in Salinas, they want to go to the Salinas shelter. And 25% do return to homelessness. We try everything we know how, all the strategies we've learned, and yet we do have 25% that still return to homelessness. But I want to say that's a fabulous record, because yesterday at a meeting of the Continuum of Care's Leadership Council for Homelessness, they said that the average continuum of care exits to homelessness among all of the shelters or placements in permanent housing is 29%. So we're almost double the average continuum of care rate. So I know for a fact that Wendy, the supervisor, Askew, is a champion of our program, and we want the whole Seaside community to be a champion of our program. Our concern is what happens to us in this project. And we're getting answers to all sorts of questions and raising all sorts of ideas tonight, and that process has been going on. So whether we're remain as is on property, whether we're incorporated into the plan, whether we're relocated, we don't know what the outcome will be, but we hope that you find value in the program and you'll support its ongoing viability and its ongoing operations. We don't want to suffer any adverse effects as a program, but mostly because we don't want the people we serve to suffer any adverse effects. I'll close with the need. Today, I asked my staff what the waiting list was. There are currently 80 women on our waiting list. He said 80-ish, so 80-ish women on our waiting list, 80 families on our waiting list, but that's families. There's multiple individuals, so there's well over 200 people on our waiting list. We opened a new shelter, Schumann Heart House, in November. That had a very small impact on the waiting list. We immediately took in 25 people. So we brought the waiting list down from 250 to its current of about 225. So you can see the need is there. We hope you appreciate the services, and we hope you'll support us in this process.
Good evening. Hope. Hope is the number one factor that builds resilience. Hope is the number one factor that builds resilience in children in order to deal with trauma and move them forward. We're trying to build a family justice center. We're building one down in King City, and we want to be included here to build one in this project as well. What is a family justice center? It's a coordinated response to providing services to victims or children, women who have been subjected to or exposed to domestic violence, sexual assault, elder abuse, human trafficking. What it does is it brings in services that already exist in our community, but are siloed. We've talked about silos earlier today with Lori, and they brings them all under one roof, not just to co-locate, which is what we would be doing, but to also work with a navigator who would work with our victims and say, what are your needs? Do you need housing? We'll work with Community Homeless Solutions. What do you need? Social services? Do you need an attorney to help you with a protective order? What do you need to build hope that the future is better than today? And so we have the coordinated response, and it's called the Family Justice Center. The one in King City and the one that we'll build here is called Holding On to Hope, because that's what we're building in this program. Next slide. So I want to show you an example of what I'm talking about. We're going to use Anna. Anna is a resident of Seaside, and she's a victim of domestic violence, and she has children. And these are the list of basic services that Anna will need to have to recover from a domestic violence incident. She needs medical treatment. She might need a protective order or divorce proceedings. She definitely needs counseling. Her children need to be interviewed forensically, which means in a really safe, loving environment to get the information out. She might have to follow up with law enforcement. She might need financial assistance. If she decides to proceed with prosecution, she might have to work with the prosecution team and victim services, and she definitely needs advocacy. Here's what she needs to do to get it currently. She has to travel from Seaside to Natividad to get medical treatment. She has to travel back and have her children interviewed at the Child Advocacy Center, because that's the only location, that's the closest location for a forensic interview site. She has to travel to the YWCA, which is in Salinas. She has to go to the courthouse in Monterey to get her legal paperwork. She has to attend court in Salinas if she is going to proceed with prosecution. She has to come to the DA's office. She has to interview with our investigator. She has to testify in front of a jury. She has to travel to behavioral health, and she has to go to social services for other services. Next slide. Oh, sorry.
Disculpa, si necesitan servicios de interpretación, por favor, alcen la mano para recibir un audífono. Gracias.
Next slide. So in total, in order to get these basic services, this victim in Seaside will have to travel over 250 miles. That's 7 hours of travel time alone. By bus, it'll take 21 hours, and then she'll have missed 9 days of work. Next slide. Keep in mind that this is just travel time. It doesn't include the time that she would have to tell her story everywhere she went. It wouldn't include the time that filling out the forms. It wouldn't take any of the time that all of these other events need to do. She might need childcare because her kids may not be in school. So she either has to bring them with them on these excursions, or she has to pay for childcare or find someone. She might have to go to multiple locations, and language barriers. Currently, this is our services in Monterey County. All the little pinpoints. Those are the current services that exist in Monterey County. Next slide. These are the services in Salinas. And then the services on the peninsula. Majority of our services actually exist in Salinas. And this next one is the King City, which is where our current, anyway, all right, we'll pass that one. We'll go to the next slide. So the goal of the Family Justice Center, Holding On to Hope, is to get all of these services that the victim will need in one location. Now, the victim doesn't have to cooperate with law enforcement to get these services. We don't have to prosecute the case to get these services. None of those requirements. They don't have to talk to law enforcement if they don't want to. They can and will be available to assist them. But these services would be able to be provided regardless, but they would be in one location. And instead of having to have Hillary hand a flyer out and say, here are the people you need to contact, they would say, let's go upstairs, let's talk, let's check you in upstairs. A navigator would find out what the victim needs, what her children need, in a safe, loving environment. To show you what the need is in Monterey County, for 2022, we had a total of 2,044 people reporting the types of events that we're talking about now. Domestic violence was over 1,000, human trafficking were 5, 153 elder abuse, sexual abuse for both child and adult, 447, and the child physical abuse, 273. We work with close partners. The Monterey County DA's office, we provided services to 1,700, almost 1,800 victims. And the Monterey County Rape Crisis Center did over 1,200 services for victims, and the YWCA 1,300. So our plan and the goal is to open 3 centers. Right now, we're opening King City shortly. I already had a building down there, so I didn't have to beg and borrow and steal to get a building, which is why I started that one there. And then we have this location that we're working our way into, hopefully, and then ideally a location in Salinas. These are our current partners. These are the people that exist currently in our King City location. These are the same partners, for the most part, that we would anticipate working with in the Seaside location, except it would be probably more expanded because there are more services up here than down in King City. As you can see, there are a ton of services here, and that connection will provide support and hope for our victims being subjected to the violence. This includes our business communities, it includes faith communities, healthcare providers. Ideally, the Family Justice Center in Seaside would include an opportunity for sexual assault victims not to have to travel to Salinas to have their sexual assault exams. Their children could have their exams here. They could be interviewed here in their home and in their home area. And that concludes my remarks. Thank you for listening.
I'm Dave Pratt with the Department of Public Works, Facilities and Parks. I'm also joined by our Assistant Director and my boss, the Chief of Facilities. Later on, I'll hand the mic over to Kyle Maddie from Nichols, Melberg, and Rosetta. Allison from Nichols, Melberg, and Rosetta is also here this evening. What can Public Works bring to this project? I want to make sure that everyone knows that the Public Works process is to take the visions from the Department of Social Services, the library, the district attorney's office, Casa de Noche Buena, and other partners, and take those visions and work them into programs so that we can build a space that will be able to not only house the number of people and services, but also create a nice flow, a nice integration of those services on one site. Oh, by the way, we need some parking. Yes. Sure. On the screen is the existing building. This is where Department of Social Services currently resides, at least the Seaside office, as well as Casa de Noche Buena, which I'm not sure it's visible, but it's just off the edge of the frame there. But this is the building that Department of Social Services has been working in for quite a long time. When what Department of Public Works, Facilities and Parks needs to do is to take those visions and kind of put them into programs for each of those departments. And really, when we talk about programming, it's really just a bunch of numbers. How many people can we fit on how many floors? Next slide, please. This is kind of the summary of the programming process. And for Department of Social Services, library, district attorney's office, and Casa de Noche Buena, there's really 5 separate spaces. And if we look on the last column, the column farthest to the left, that would be your right, my left. You can see that if Department of Social Services is currently operating out of 15,000 square feet right now, between the first floor and the second floor of Department of Social Services, we're pushing about 30,000 square feet. So not only are we housing their existing needs, but we're also planning for and creating space for Department of Social Services and everything that they do going into the next 5 years, the next 10 years, and the next 20 years. Likewise for the library, you've all been to the Seaside Library presumably, and we want to give them enough space to do everything that they do right now, and a little bit more. The department, I should say, the Office of the District Attorney has a vision for the Family Justice Center, and we want to show that also on this facility. And we have shown it kind of on the 3rd floor. And as we program these spaces, we don't necessarily do it in a vacuum with these departments individually. Eventually, we want to put those departments in the right order, on the right level, so that they can be integrated, they can serve their constituents, they can serve their patrons effectively. And again, once we finish our programming, we come up with space requirements of just over 60,000 square feet. It's quite a bit more than what we have right now. And I'd like to turn the mic over to Kyle so that he can show you what 60,000 square feet looks like in a perspective view.
Hi, I'm Kyle from NMR Architects, and I'm pleased to show you the Broadway Family Connection project. It's been an exciting project to work on everyone with. Change the slide. It's been amazing working with all the departments and all the community leaders, how collaborative everyone has been through this process, and how everyone seems to really care about having a service center that provides all these services to the community and also provides community space and a space for the arts, a space for community events to happen. So we're just happy to have been working with such a good collaborative group that wants to work together and wants to have a good community building. So one of the other goals we have is to help the Seaside community develop along the Broadway corridor. And so with that, we've positioned the building closer to the intersection of Broadway and Noche Buena so that it's more of a civic-minded building. Instead of having a parking lot in the front, it's now part of the corridor. And I'm not going to get too far into the weeds on the design of the building, so we can ask questions about programs and get into information for the departments. But some of the vocabulary that we're starting to develop with the building is curvilinear shapes for any of the public spaces. So you'll notice that on the first floor, on the right-hand side, closer to that intersection of Broadway and Noche Buena, is the entrance to the building and also the community room. And then also the entrance is a curvilinear form. On the second level, there'd be a bridge that connects to the parking garage that is, again, a curvilinear form, just to remind everyone that this is a public space. And then through the building, we've got spaces for art to be displayed and a new library that integrates well with the other spaces. So I'll just go through really quick how we split the building up. First floor is all the Department of Social Services, most of their public spaces where public would be getting services, and then that community room, community center. Second floor would be the library. It's got a lot of exterior spaces. We're trying to make sure that every space within the building has some exterior spaces to get out onto. The main reading room would have a large window at the end of the main volume of the space with a large outdoor area for adults to go read. And then the other side would be a children's balcony area for outdoor reading, summer reading programs. Third floor is the Family Justice Center. Again, some outdoor spaces, but the lobby space is more of a public space, and then it gets more private as you get back into the offices for all the partnering agencies. Then the fourth floor would be Department of Social Services, training spaces, and also a lot of the staff that go out into the community and help, but don't necessarily have community coming into those spaces. So the first three floors can be where a lot of the public is entering the space. And with that really quick overview, I'm going to turn it back over to Wendy, who can answer some questions for you.
Invite everyone else back up here. While you guys are hid up here, I'm going to share a little bit of information about dollars. How do we intend to pay for this building, and what do we think it's going to cost? Renovation of this building has been a goal of the Department of Social Services for many, many years. The project really started to gain momentum, though, in 2021 when the Board of Supervisors, we were able to add it, not just a repaving of the parking lot or a coat of paint, but truly add this project as a whole big vision project to the capital improvement program and put it on our legislative program. In 2022, the board approved $250,000 to initiate an architectural study to determine if renovation or rebuilding was necessary. We determined then that rebuilding would be a better option. And so in 2023, we successfully advocated for $2.9 million from the county budget as part of our capital improvement project process to move the design phase of the project forward. That's how we get to where we are today. The Broadway Family Connections project that was presented tonight is estimated, they're telling me, to cost around $115 million. That's in today's dollars, and that's if we move forward now. When you wait to do projects, those costs only go up. So in my mind, I'm thinking, $100 to $200 million. We'll just throw, and I see all of our folks who've done projects nodding their heads. So lots of money. We expect to fund this project, funds for this project to come from a variety of sources, including state dollars, federal dollars, county dollars, and potentially bonded dollars from the county. We've identified this project. It's currently on our list of county legislative priorities, and we are shopping this around to our state and federal legislators for their support as well. As of right now, the funding that we've secured is getting us through this initial design phase. And the feedback we get here tonight is going to help us as we finalize that design phase of the project. So we need to hear from you. I have notes here, and I was trying to look around and collect notes on all of the electeds who are in the room. We've got a whole bunch of you all scattered about. And I'm so grateful that you're here, but I also want to acknowledge that every single person in this room has feedback that's going to help us do this right and make sure that we get the most and the best outcomes from this investment that the county is preparing to make in the community of Seaside. I want to quickly thank Alexis Arazola, who stepped up to offer interpretation services when our interpreters didn't make it. So thank you, Alexis. And I want to announce for anyone who is watching online, I guess there was an issue with the cameras for the online video, but this is also being recorded. So anyone who wasn't here tonight or who wanted to see the images that were shared, we'll get that recording posted publicly soon. So bear with us. Let's see, my last thought before we open up for public comment is I want to just acknowledge again one of the comments that Robin made I lost you, Robin. There you are. That Robin made about the commitment that the county has to ensure the continued operation of Casa de Noche Buena. You'll see that it's not currently included in the design that were shared, but the commitment that the county has is to ensure that we continue the operation of Casa. It's a critical program. We fought hard to get it sited in Seaside, and we need your support to help us make sure that we find the right location for Casa's continued operation. All right. For feedback, we're on time. So we've got, I think, 30 minutes, right, Yuri, to solicit your thoughts. I'll ask folks to remain brief in your comments, and we do look forward if you have in-depth comments or more detailed feedback. We've got boards on the back of the room. You can write your comments on any of the note cards. You can write it on the back board. You can email it to us. You can call our office or speak to any one of our county staff who are here tonight to share your thoughts. We're going to take all of your feedback back to the team and figure out what we do with that as we best move forward. Before I start, we've got two additional folks up here. I think we have Roderick Franks. Where's Roderick? Is Roderick up there? Okay, I don't know if there's chairs, but we'll find space for you. Roderick Franks and Rose DeFranco from the Seaside Social Services Department. And I saw Lindsay's here. Lindsay Larabel from County Public Works, Facilities and Parks, who are joining us with our speakers on stage to answer questions if we're able. And I'll say up front, I really value that you're all here. We want to answer all of your questions. We may not be able to answer all your questions. In fact, I don't expect that we're going to be able to answer all of the questions that are posed. As we're in this process, we continue asking questions and taking them back to the team to engage and continue our discussion. So ask your questions, we'll take them, we'll do what we can. If we have answers, we'll get them for you, but I don't anticipate that we will have all of the answers to the questions that come up tonight. And then my last thought, and then I'm going to call on our mayor, Ian Oglesby, to see if you have any feedback for us as our first commenter. But I do want to say that this is a project I'm really excited about. It's something I'm really proud that we've been able to move forward as quickly as we have. I'm really, really grateful to every single one of our county staff for working in a collaborative, innovative, different way than counties typically operate. If we could just give them a round of applause for their commitment to collaboration. I spend a lot of time visiting with other supervisors from other counties and other states, and this is not normal. This is exceptional leadership among our county team, and I just want to acknowledge and thank them for that. So with that, I'm going to open our comments and feedback with Mayor Ian Oglesby, who's with us tonight, and we'd love to hear your thought, Mayor.
Thank you. I just got a few things I want to read off, and then I'll be very, very quick. Of course, I want to welcome everybody here tonight. Thank you. Particularly, it should be everybody from the peninsula was welcome, and especially those that live in the city of Seaside. This is a very important project that we're talking about doing, so it's very important that you weigh in on it. So we want to thank that. I want to thank Supervisor Eskew and her team for putting on this town hall. I know she's engaged and she wants your feedback. I want to thank her for her leadership and the vision of this Broadway Family Connection project. It would not only improve the level of services our residents receive, increasing the type of resources offered, the proposed redevelopment of this site will have a positive impact on the quality of life of our neighbors and those who pass by it daily, especially our children and our families that walk up and down Broadway. In addition, because the building will be built closer to the sidewalk, it fits in with our vision of the new Broadway, and what the city plans on doing over the next couple of years is our Broadway corridor improvement project will be shrinking the 4 lanes down to 2 lanes, making it more walkable community environment all the way from Del Monte all the way to General Jim Moore. We have done West Broadway, and you guys have seen that, making it safer for traffic and pedestrians and cyclists with a handful of roundabouts on Broadway. Furthermore, as you think about the relocation or the co-location of the county library, I think it's just so wonderful that our kids will finally have a library really moved to the center of our community. I know that's something that our friends Friends of the Seaside Library has been working on for decades, and their vision is finally coming to fruition. So we appreciate that and all the things that come with it, especially the Family Justice Center. I just think, adding that in there is just a wonderful benefit for the community. In my last few seconds, I would just say that, the building may be in Seaside, but this building is for those living on the peninsula. And I would imagine it may be people that may be driving from Salinas over here, but it's not just for the residents of Seaside. It's for the peninsula. And having said that, when someone says, and I say this to respect, because I got a lot of respect for my supervisor, and we have a lot of fun together. But when you're talking about the benefits that all of these residents will get in in Monterey County, then I say a building that has to cost, it's only going to cost what it's going to cost, right? If it costs $200 million, why wouldn't we find the money to build one here on the peninsula? Right? So I don't buy into we don't have the money. I don't buy into the county don't have the money. It's money being spent on the other parts of the county. And I want to thank the department heads, to include the DA's office and everyone else, to say, hey, we want to think of a new way of doing stuff. And it just happened to be over here, and it just happened to cost that amount of money. But I'm looking into the future, and I just want to say we appreciate the county department heads for thinking this through and providing the residents that live on the peninsula this type of building. And in the name of fairness, I think that demands we find the money to pay the costs. So thank you so much. Thank you guys for your leadership.
Thank you, Mayor Oglesby. I think we've got some help with a microphone. And Eric, if you're going to pass it along, I know we have a young woman right in the back center row who brought special, right, look in front, right here. Raise your hand, sweetheart. We talked earlier, remember? I'm talking about you. You brought some notes, right? Yeah. Do you want to speak? Do you want to share your thought? Yeah. Thank you. All right. And you can stand up so we all hear you.
I want more plants in the city. I want more houses for everyone. Thank you.
And thank you for your thoughts and being so brave to share them with us today. So if she's brave enough to share her feedback, I want to hear from everyone else. So I think I saw over here in the back.
Hi, Supervisor. My name's Nicole Hollingsworth, and I'm with Cal State Monterey Bay, and this is wonderful. I just have a question about public transportation and how that's being envisioned for the area and enhanced, I'm sure. And then also if there's any plans for public transportation between the proposed courthouse in Seaside and this facility, because it seems like that would create a lot of cohesion as well.
Excellent question. I don't know if we have a clear answer for you today, but it's now on our list. Thank you, Nicole. All right. Who else? We've got someone in the back, Eric, right behind you.
Can I go ahead and speak? Hi. Oh. Girl, don't take the mic. Audrey Jones. I'm a student at CSUMB, and kudos to all of the planning individuals who envisioned this. So it's good to see it. The next question is, this is what we envision. So how are we building the workforce and the people who are going to run the program and the vision that we have inside of the building? Will there be other meetings following this meeting so that we can continue to have input?
Excellent question. And I'm sure that everyone sitting up at this dais has comments about workforce development needs. Is there anyone who wants to take that question? Otherwise, we can add it to our list. Just social services. You just want to speak about workforce? We'll put you on the spot.
Well, thank you for the question. And a lot of the services that social services does provide is all about creating an opportunity to move people to self-sufficiency. And that includes employment training. It includes employment placements. What we are looking at right now in terms of the social services footprint in the building was not so much that we would be able to grow our own workforce, but to help create an opportunity or of employment and training for the people in our community so that they can move
There
to
you go.
self-sufficiency.
There you go.
Excellent. Thank you. And Hillary, yeah, libraries.
Okay. Just in terms of the workforce, again, the library, I put a slide with the staff just so you could see what we do in relation to the number of staff in the building. And I joined the county workforce in August of 2019. And I think, Dave, correct me if I'm wrong, but as of last week was the first time your Seaside Library has actually been fully staffed. Our work, and a lot of our folks, they get promoted, they get fabulous other jobs, but it is the first time you've actually been fully staffed in 4+ years. So, oh, sorry, Dave is saying, are you saying 10 years? About 8 years. I just haven't been here. So we turn over readily. Please come work for the library. Have a chat with me. I will help you use the county's government jobs portal. We do training on it.
Great. So I was going to say the county is hiring. We're always hiring. We work closely. We love our local school districts. We've got CSUMB in the house and PUSD in the house. So if you're interested in working for the county, come work with us. But by and large, the workforce at this location will be simply moving from where their current location is to this location. So it's not actually resulting in significant additional jobs outside of what the additional district attorney positions would be. And then I'll just say, so for the sake of convenience, I think we're going to try to have a suggestion was to have everyone line up. We've got 2 microphones. So if we can line up to speak, then we can just sort of roll people through. If you have mobility impairment or need assistance getting to a microphone, go ahead and raise your hand and we'll make sure we get one over to you. But if we'll just sort of line up a few people at a time and we can just roll our way through. Right.
And I'll just add, excuse me, for the Department of Social Services, so the Community Benefits Office that you currently have, we are always hiring. I would encourage you to go onto our county website. It is wonderful to have people from the community also helping to serve our community here. So please, I encourage you, we have all different types of positions that we run out of that location there. So please go onto our website and check.
Awesome. All right, we'll start on this side and then bounce back and forth.
Okay, I have a couple of, I have one really quick question and then a longer question. Is there water to double the size of this building? So we're not going to have we don't have enough water issue. Okay, excellent. And if we look at this picture right here, what I see on top of that building, instead of white space, is a park. It's my understanding this part of the city does not have a park. We have the land, you got electrical, you got water. Everything's there except a roll of fake grass and a couple of trees. To this young lady's point, let's put some greenery up there. I also see a parking garage. Well, it sounds like when you're having your picnic at the park, you could go to a food truck parked right there on the top deck. If you can't get from one building to the other, let's build a bridge. That would be cool. If they're 2 different levels, hell, bells, put in a slide. I do the slide. This would be one of the most beautiful views, and it would encourage people to be here. It would encourage people to put down your damn phone and be outside. Look at this beautiful bay. And if you don't understand what this view looks like, go to the Spring Hill Suites right up there in Marina, across from Montage, go in the lobby, pretend like you're there. It's a beautiful hotel. Just go around the corner to the left, hit R on the elevator, go up to the roof. There's bathrooms, there's a water fountain, there's seating up there. I go up there and eat my lunch, 360-degree view, Salinas Valley, Toro Park. I think it's Mount Fremont. You got the ocean. You can see Carmel Valley. You can see Santa Cruz. It's one of the most beautiful views. And we could have that view here in Seaside and have a park for a neighborhood that doesn't have a park.
I love this
And
feedback.
it just doesn't seem like it would cost that much. Oh, and I apologize. I forgot to say I'm on the homelessness committee. I'm talking as an individual person, not as my person as a homelessness commission, but as my homelessness committee role. I wondered, can the Casa building, Casa Noche Buena, it's a portable. It looks like a portable. That doesn't mean it can be moved, but can it be moved? Because there's a huge parking lot in the county building down by the Carlos Jr. on Fremont. And I really have never seen any cars there. So maybe it can go to that space. And anybody who would like to be on the homelessness commission, we really could use some more people to help us. And we have plenty of openings. And you can reach out to the city clerk at the Seaside website if you're interested. There's a lot of commissions that could really use people to help Seaside be a better Seaside. Don't just sit and complain. Join a commission and help Seaside be even better.
Be a part
Thank
of
you.
the solution. Thank you. The water, the question of water, I'm going to look to Dave and our architect. Water.
We haven't researched the water requirements at this point.
Okay.
That's still ahead of us.
Okay. So more to come there. It's a great question, and we keep doing the work. All right. We're going to
Hi.
pop over here.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Michelle Belton, and I was once homeless, and now I'm currently housed, and I'm on the lead council for the Coalition of Homeless Service Providers. And I just want to say three things. Through this transition, are any of these entities going to be tapped in with each other? Because I found myself filling out the same application over and over, saying the same thing over and over again. One. Two, when it comes to, I found out that I have young adults, ages 18 to 24, and there were not enough services for them, not enough activities for them to do in city of Seaside. Okay, and then three, the welfare office. I found it difficult for the workers to contact another worker. You're using the same number that I'm using, and I'm on the phone for 2 hours waiting on the worker when the workers are not tapped in with each other. It should be something more, a different number that they have versus what I have to connect the dots.
Thank you. There's some great operational suggestions. I'm going to have social services not respond, but we're going to follow up on that, if that's okay. All right. And I am just sensitive to time, so we want to hear from as many folks as possible. I want to remind you, you have the square paper if you want to write your thoughts down. We've also got stuff in the back, or you can reach out to us directly, but we'll go to Sylvia. Thank you.
Yes, my name is Sylvia. I live in Seaside. And I was listening to the lady. I am making similar comment in that I love this project. And I also see that you have put integration of services versus co-location. I think that it's not versus, it should be combined. Integration of services, meaning that a person can go to the same window and do a lot of things that is related without having to fill out multiple papers. So we need to make use of technology to integrate some of the data behind it so that it's really integration. So in our budgeting, we need to consider the electronic things making use of current technology. That's one comment. Another comment I have is that I see that you have the second floor for the libraries. I'm wondering why, because the other services maybe should be closer to the ground floor, and the library can be in the upper floor because people who are going to read is one purpose. They just can go up. It's just a thought. But I love the fact that we are having this project. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll bounce over here to Bill.
Yeah, Bill Weigel, Seaside. Just a sort of a correction to something else that was said. There is a park just 2 blocks away. It's Martin Park. It's a very nice park. A lot of us work to take care of it. But the other thing is, I think there on Broadway, there's some roundabouts planned. I haven't been able to find the locations on the Seaside website, even though I searched. But I thought one of them was planned for Noche Buena and Broadway. And I just wonder how much space that's going to take and if it will affect the design that's shown up there, because they could be pretty large.
Excellent question. And we will take note of that, Dave. Yep. Okay, we're going to take note of that. We have been working, we have been assigned a planner from the city of Seaside. So those kinds of things are being iteratively worked on. All right, Wanda, thank you for joining us.
Well, I'm Wanda Sue Parrott. I live in Seaside, and I'm speaking, I think it's beautiful, but in the architectural final drawing, I really think they should consider making space somehow for a cafeteria, for people coming to that many services. they get hungry, they get thirsty, and maybe they need a drink of water. So make a place that they can at least take a break. Thank you.
Love that. Thank you. All right, we'll bounce over to the other side. Hi.
Hi, my name is Carla Lobo, Seaside resident. I just had a couple of questions. I know this is one of 3 of these family justice centers that we're looking to put in here. My question is with regards to one, the water that we haven't allocated yet, but also the budgetary. This original plan back in June 2023 was estimated to be 68 million, and I'm assuming that didn't include the Justice Center or any of the wraparound services. Now it's estimated to be 115, particularly being funded through grants, state and federal. What are we doing locally to incorporate the community here in Seaside, but also our wraparound services to integrate into this building, like our resource center with Derek Elder, some of our areas in the public library that we wanted to expand. I know that we're giving the Family Justice Center quite a few square footage, but if we can reduce that and give more of that footage to the library, because they do encompass not only wraparound services, but they're in home services that they aren't able to expand currently. So I'm concerned about that, but I'm also concerned that we haven't been transparent with communication within our city of Seaside with our public works to give feedback within this encompassing this large project. I don't see any outdoor space other than the outdoor space coming onto the building, but there's no grass area that we're talking about or even greenery around it. Did have one last question with regards to the Community Human Services building is also located adjacent to where this building is. What is the communication level with integrating the services from there and possibly having that connection with the wraparound services, leading our community members to having that warm handoff to those areas? Because we talked about having visitations. They already do that. And we're talking about adding this to this building when we already have an existing building. So I'm seeing lack of communication in that area. So I'd like that to be amended before it's brought back, and also opening it up locally because the building is going to be 4 stories. So we do have residential area around that we haven't taken into consideration. And though we have a lot of community members here now, a lot weren't preview to now knowing that it's going to be a 2-lane in the next 10 years. But also, how are we going to continue funding this within the next 10 years? And that's the rest of my questions. Thank you.
So a lot of great questions. I saw everyone rapidly scribbling down. Did anyone want to take a quick response to anything? Yep.
So just in terms, excuse me, just in terms of the service overlap, we partner with every organization that's willing to partner with us. So if the building next door is providing a service and they don't need to be physically located in the Family Justice Center, they can still be our partner, and we would still partner with them and refer them. So we're not duplicating services of existing nonprofits that are providing services or other government agencies. We're only providing the relationship so that someone can come to one location and get the services they need. We would invite the other group to come in, or we would take the victim or whoever needs the services over to that person. So we're not intending on duplicating any services. In terms of the employees that are going to be located at the Family Justice Center, a majority of the employees are not going to be county employees. These are going to be employees of nonprofits and other agencies that are being housed there to work collaboratively in providing the services. So they won't be, DA employees. They're not going to be county employees. The majority of the people there are going to be people that are already providing these services in the community.
And did I see someone else reach up?
So with regard to Community Human Services in Casa de Noche Buena, you asked about the communications process. So we have just begun that communications process with the county in the last 2 weeks. So we're at the very beginning of providing our input, but we're glad that we have this opportunity, and we expect to be working with the county more closely as this project goes on. Again, because our main concern is that we remain an ongoing operating shelter for the people on the peninsula and especially in Seaside who need our services the problem is growing, not shrinking. So it's time to not only maintain what services we have at that shelter, but expand shelter services. So we will definitely be working very closely with the county, and all of your support will help us in that regard.
I would just echo that as well, that that Public Works is working to put together all the visions for all these departments into one site, and it does take up quite a bit of the site. We've tried to put some buffer areas in and around the buildings, and shown that. There's not room at this point for a park per se in the traditional sense, but there are outdoor and community and common spaces that we would hope create a welcoming environment. The library, as far as growing the library or reducing another program in order to grow the library, Public Works has collaborated extensively with all these departments to try to put together the right sized programs for each of them so that they can perform the services that they have not only today, but 10 or 15 years down the road.
And I love listening to people say, grow the library. We want more library. Like, don't get me wrong, you're singing my song. But in looking at this, one of the reasons I did put a slide up there with your existing staff is the intent is not to have your library cost more money to operate. And to operate that number of hours a week with those services, with that staff, we need one level, one room functionally. I need Dave to be able to stand at the desk and look across his entire library. So that is part of the conversations we're having with the architect. Architects love to design beauty, and I go, yeah, but let me tell you what happens in a library and why you cannot put a wall there that we can't see through. So the intent is to move existing operations and not have your library cost more money to operate or have to cut services in order to operate in our new building. So that's the intent at this time for the size of the library.
Thank you all.
It's a very exciting evening, this, to see the project that we've been working on, particularly the library issue, for over 25 years, since the last millennium, I guess. And I hope it comes through. Nobody said anything about timing of this project. I'd be interested to hear whether we're looking at, 3 to 5 years or 25 years down the line. And although the idea of a rooftop garden is appealing, I think more importantly, given the price of energy and those issues, it would be great if the building had a massive amount of solar collectors. It looks like there's a nominal couple of rows, but there's not much there more than in my house. So I hope the designers will take that into account. And maybe somebody could tell us what's the time frame for this?
Yeah. Dave, I'll let you answer, but I'm going to pre-answer your answer, and then I'll let you speak. But so in terms of timing, right now we have this allocation of funding that the Board of Supervisors generously authorized through the capital improvements plan that allows us to have these folks assigned to get the initial design scoping done. We have a limited scope of money. We have that $2.9 million to get all of the scoping completed this year. Otherwise, I've got to go back and beg for that money again. So we're on a fairly tight timeline to get the project to a certain point in the design process where we can then go out, price it, and shop for the actual dollars that will fund the building of the project. So we've got to go pretty fast right now to get to a certain point in the process, and then we've got to go figure out how to secure the funding for it. That could happen immediately if the Board of Supervisors says, let's put $150 million toward building. We don't have that money. So it's going to take some time for us to piece together the funding deck for this project. I'm committed to seeing this through. So you've got my full focus and attention on it. And we've got the county team working together in a way that I've never seen our county teams working together. So we don't have a firm answer on that question, but you have a commitment that we're going to aggressively push forward. That time gap, though, between having this sort of design finalized will give us some additional time to work on what we have to have a solution in place for Casa de Noche Buena before we move forward with anything. So Dave, do you want to elaborate more on that point?
No, I think you said it just right. We are committed to this project, and if everything works out perfectly, we will proceed as expeditiously as possible to get these programs in place on 1281 Broadway.
And maybe the one thing that you could say is from the point when we break ground, what would be a construction timeline that we would be looking at? Once we're fully funded, once we have CASA secured, once we break ground, what is the construction time? What would be a rough estimate of that?
In round numbers, it would be about 2 years after we broke ground.
Okay. So still we're a ways away from that point of this process, but right now I've got my commitment is I want to make sure we take advantage of this resource that we have and the staff dedicated to work on this project to get us to the next point in the project. So I'm not sure who was, yep, okay. Mayor.
Okay, thank you, Wendy. Mary Ann Carbone, the City of Sand City Mayor, also the chair of the Board of Community Human Services. I just wanted to commend give thanks for having this town hall meeting, and to everyone up here on the panel who has given input during this meeting. I think that the library, yes, needs to be updated. I think a family justice center is wonderful. That'd be wonderful to have in our community, as well as the other services. So I did hear today that this here building would be so that customers don't have to go to place to place looking for services and an inviting location for families. I did just would like to reiterate that the hope that we all work together to make this happen. And also, I think it's a great idea, so I support the city. Our Mayor Oglesby over here. Thank you, Mayor. The vision, and I would like to make sure that we work together, because there is an answer for the Casa Noche Buena. So there is an answer. And just that I would hope that we don't have uninterrupted services or loss of shelter beds, because we did just get another shelter open, but there's such a need for that. The only question I have on the building is, I know it looks like it takes a floor area ratio. On the outside, is the concrete, or is it going to be a permeable concrete being used? Because I know that it's going to take a lot of room where water can percolate. So have you taken that into consideration? And that's my only question. So thank you.
We haven't really looked at that too much, but you're absolutely right. There is not that much surface area that's not building or parking garage. So the space between the two structures would be landscape, would be permeable. And then we could look at permeable paving for the area in the back of the building too. So that's next steps.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. And I agree. I'm confident we will find the right solution to ensure that CASA continues at its current or more. Thank you for your commitment and shared on that. We'll head over to Francine.
Right. Francine Rod with First Five Monterey County. And I'm also very pleased to see the collaboration here. We had a meeting today with our funded partners, and I also participated in the perinatal collaborative meeting today. And the themes that kept coming up are housing as well as mental health. And in terms of mental health, I am wondering whether or not behavioral health will also have some space or could have some space in this building, because that's been a huge need in the community. And in terms of housing, in terms of the housing authority having some staffing or some place to be able to help to connect families with housing needs is huge. But the other piece that came up with housing is that our home visitors, because housing is so expensive, families don't have, and so many families are living together, there aren't spaces for home visitors to be able to meet with their clients, with their families, to do their coaching. So they use the library and they use the spaces in the library, and there aren't enough of those either. So in terms of private spaces for doulas or coaches to be able to meet with folks, that was something that they really felt was important. Another thing would be spaces for play groups, or that could happen in this building as well. Our children don't have a lot of spaces to play or being able to collaborate or coordinate together. And some space for play groups would be something that we would also be thinking about. I heard you say childcare in terms of the space available. I'm thinking they're talking about respite care as opposed to an actual childcare center or childcare space. Obviously, we would love to see that. We know that there are workforce challenges with that as well. But those are some huge needs in our community that would be things to think about as you continue to design this.
Excellent. Thank you.
Supervisor, can I say
Yes.
something?
Yeah, please.
I just wanted to let the public and also you, Francine, know Community Human Services has the Family Service Center on Broadway. That is maybe 2 blocks, if that much, across the street and down from the current location we're talking about. And at the Family Service Center, we are contract providers with behavioral health to provide outpatient mental health services. So we have 9 mental health clinicians there providing outpatient mental health services to people of all ages, couples and families, and we accept Medi-Cal or uninsured individuals. So if you have someone with a mental health need, please refer them to our Family Service Center on Broadway. There's also one in Salinas at our Family Service Center. Same services provided.
And one would think I wrote Francine's comments for her. I did not, I swear. But in terms of what you said about the home visitors and the people who are using libraries for all these things, libraries are used for home visits, therapy, child custody exchanges, safe waiting places, mental health, where somebody just like, can I just sit alone and have nobody bother me? And we can recommend a comfortable chair and nobody will bother them. One of the things your beautiful Seaside Library does not have a community meeting room that can be rented. Some of our libraries do. This building is being envisioned that it would. Your library also does not have any private study rooms. And that is more and more where can 2 people sit or 4 people sit and have a private conversation with a door, but be in a public place, because many of these needs they can't just happen behind closed doors. You can't go in the bathroom and have these conversations. So right up your alley, Francine. We got you.
And did I see someone else lunging for a microphone? No. Okay. Yes, appreciate the comments. And I think this is another reason why it's so important that we have sort of our department heads really do speak for like this broader community need that they're familiar with. So thank you for adding that context. And please keep providing us feedback. We're going to do a last call for those of you who are standing for the microphone, just because I've gone a little over time. I told you I'd have you out of here by 7:30. It's past 7:30. So if you need to leave, feel free to do so. We really do want your feedback. So if you wouldn't mind leaving your comments, any feedback, good, bad, neutral, hot, cold, whatever you want to say on that card for us, it would be really helpful. We do want to hear from you. Or please do reach out to our office or any one of our department heads with your additional thoughts, feedback, concern. Moving forward, we're forging ahead, and now's the time for us to incorporate your thoughts. So I think I'm over here. Yeah, thank you.
Good evening. I'm John Canoli, and I work at Monterey Peninsula College. And I just want to say this is an amazing vision and amazing opportunity to serve our community. And the themes of collaboration and partnership coming up tonight are very exciting for us as well. And we'd like to extend an opportunity to talk about collaboration with Monterey Peninsula College as well. We are always looking forward to offering classes out in our community. We offer classes here at the community center, for example. We would love to be able to bring academic and career counseling out into the community, helping our community find pathways to career and rewarding opportunities for reentry, getting on the path to college, and other opportunities. We have a wonderful career education workforce training program. we would love to be able to talk about those opportunities as well as continuing education. And so please keep us in mind. And as you create the community space, the community rooms for use, you might also consider some community offices as well, so that services could periodically be located on site for access.
Great. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Great. Good evening. My name is Patsy Gaska. I'm the disaster manager for the American Red Cross, covering Santa Cruz and Monterey County. So I spend quite a bit of time on the peninsula with our recovery team that follows up families from just the immediate disasters that happen here to the major ones, and bringing those folks when we interview them and find the array of needs they have, that where they need to be connected with the dots, right? And so I'm excited about this. I'm also a member of the Monterey County Cultural Council. It is our vision to have the 3 sites, and I'm really excited about this. And I'm a partner that I will be engaging with county staff to see it to come to a full circle. I'm so excited for Seaside. Seaside is a beautiful community, very warm and inviting here. And I envision this as a beautiful building that survivors so much need, including the community at large. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Steve Hagler, Monterey Peninsula College as well. Go Lobos. I'm curious, you haven't talked about jobs. Will it bring jobs to the community?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I think by and large, the positions would simply be moving from their current location. Library positions would stay the same. Social services positions would stay the same, just moving from one location into this co-location. And then, I don't know, Janine, the co-located services that you have, is that a new jobs, or is that sort of just a centralization of?
Well, that depends. I think it's both. I
Okay.
think it's existing nonprofits and groups that are already working in the community, maybe not having a presence in Seaside, and they would be located here then. But it could also be newly created opportunities.
So we're not anticipating a huge increase in the number of county employees that would be needed, but we're anticipating co-locating those employees into this building. Okay, we'll head back.
You can go.
Oh, we've got, do we need translation? Oh, fabulous. Thank you. Okay, great. Thank you.
Bueno, soy residente de Seaside, she's a resident of Seaside, me llamo Francisco Arroyo, Seaside resident. También estoy voluntaria para madre voluntaria y también pertenezco a una organización, y yo les agradezco mucho que hagan este edificio.
And yes, speak very much so everyone can hear. Yeah, thanks.
The mother and she's also a volunteer. Can't hear you back here.
Oh, we can't hear. Let's try that again. I'll trade microphones. Oh, we had a battery die.
So she's a mother in the community, community resident. Can everybody hear me?
Yeah, there we go.
Thank you.
Vamos, señora.
Y yo les agradezco que hayan este tipo de edificio.
She's very thankful for each one of the agencies, the county agencies, to bring something like this to fruition in Seaside.
Pero que me gustaría mucho que este edificio fuera sustentable.
She would really appreciate that it'd be a sustainable building.
Que ocuparan paneles solares.
She's for solar panels.
Que ocuparan lo que nos ofrece la naturaleza, que es la lluvia.
So natural, like the waters, the rains that come in.
Y que me parece fabuloso la idea que dijo el señor, que en la parte de arriba hubiera una parte de árboles, pero que también he visto que eso que les digo, que ocupen la naturaleza, lo que nos ofrece la naturaleza como la lluvia, es algo muy importante.
So she's wants to have a consideration for rain collection, to be able to have, greenery up on the top floor so that the water is used to sustain those.
Porque está sucediendo una situación. Tenemos mucha lluvia y sabemos que Seaside carece de agua.
So she realizes that we have a lot of rain and Seaside needs the water, so some kind of collection.
Entonces a mí me gustaría mucho que hubiera lugares en donde se recolectara el agua precisamente hasta para hacer este edificio, y a futuro también que ese edificio ocupara esa agua para que fuera sustentable.
So the collection of water is very important, not only for the sustainability of this building and vision, but the entire community of Seaside. So some kind of collection, to collect rainwaters and whatnot for the better of Seaside and the community.
Y una última cosa que les pido es que planten plantas. Recuerden que el ciclo del agua es precisamente, hay plantas, hay lluvia. Gracias.
So her last comment is that she wants to, for the city, for county to consider planting more plants in the city of Seaside. Again, with the rainwater and whatnot, it would be good for sustainability. Muchas gracias, señora.
Thank you so much. And thank you for translating for us as well. All right, we'll do a final
One
comment.
more for the night, y'all.
And then we'll let y'all go. And if we could just, we'll do final comment. And I'll do a closing comment. Yep. Thanks.
Yeah, I have two more comments. One, being that I was in that situation, homelessness, I found out that there were a lot of elderly people that were homeless, and they have trouble navigating certain things. So since I've been here, I've only seen one Alliance on Aging in Salinas. What entity are you going to have in this space for our elderly, and how do we go about that? And then my last comment is follow-ups. The people that are being assisted, who are who the advocates, how are they going to do follow-ups with the people that they serve?
So thank you for that question. And
one more. And I forgot one more thing. I did not see a person that does sign language, because you do have people that are hard of hearing. So I didn't see that here either.
Thank you. So in terms of the services involving our seniors, aging and adult services, this has been one of the challenges around, those services right now are designed to be delivered countywide, but accessibility is a challenge, and we know that. The Alliance on Aging, we contract with the Alliance on Aging. It's supposed to be countywide, but accessibility is an issue. One of the things that's being envisioned by that for this facility is to have hoteling stations so that there is drop-in spaces for entities like that to have a greater presence here on the peninsula.
Great. And I think there's always opportunities for the county to do better and to coordinate better and to engage better and to listen better. And I think we all know that. And in addition to doing all of the mandated work that most of what social services provides is mandated by the state and federal government. So you guys are running fast to keep up with those requirements. And then our libraries have a certain stream of funding, and they've got to maintain all of their operations within that stream. So given how far we've come within the constraints that exist for our county departments, I'm just really excited that we're setting a vision and we're walking towards a collective shared goal of increasing services, making them easier to access, and doing so in a way where the county is really investing in the vision that Seaside has created for Upper Broadway. It wasn't my idea to move the library up the hill. It wasn't my idea to, identify some additional needs for our social services building. Those ideas came from Seaside, and the design vision that we're working with came from Seaside. It came from you all. So your investment in this project is as important as our investment in this project to allow it to move forward. One of the things that Jane Parker, our supervisor before me, used to always talk about was the power of three. And that is that nothing happens, and nothing good happens if you don't have the alignment of incredible, excellent staff within a jurisdiction. We've got that. You also need electeds who are aligned with a common goal. You've got that. And the third part of the power of three is a public that's going to use their advocacy and their voices to advocate and keep pushing for good things to happen. When you align all three of those things, we can achieve anything. And the vision that we're laying out tonight is up on the board, up on the screen. Thank you for indulging us and sharing your thoughts and feedback. I'm really excited. I'm hopeful. We've got big challenges ahead of us, but we're doing the first step to lay out what our plan is moving forward. So please share additional feedback, contact our office. We look forward to continuing working with county staff on this project within the timeline and scoping that we've got our timeline to work forward on. We'll keep you posted sort of when the next steps, when we get to the next step, and we really appreciate your support. Before we go, if you have a listening device, please return those at the back table. And we have plenty of extra sandwiches and chips, so please help yourself to snacks as you leave. And with that, it is before 8 o'clock and we're getting you all out of here. If we could just hear another round of applause for our amazing county team. Thank you.